Stop right now. Do not scroll past this message. Look at me in this exact moment, because you did not arrive here by accident. The world is full of random noise, but this alignment is completely intentional. Heaven adjusted the digital streams just to capture your undivided attention today. You are here because a holy appointment has been scheduled for your weary soul. I have an urgent surprise waiting for your heart. You have been running away from your destiny because the weight of rejection has made you too tired to look up. But today I am stepping into your atmosphere to halt the cycle of hidden pain. Listen to my voice in the deepest chamber of your quiet mind. Give me just a few minutes, and I promise your future will change. Do not let the enemy convince you to walk away from this sanctuary. Your presence on this page is proof that something has just shifted in the unseen realm. You have prayed for a sign in the dark. You have begged for an answer to the questions you are almost too broken to speak out loud. This is your answering echo from the throne of your Father. If you feel my presence interrupting your earthly noise right now, I want you to take an immediate step of faith. Comment AMEN in the section below as a public seal of your recognition. Do not let fear steal your voice in this moment. This simple act of obedience will anchor your spirit to the breakthrough that is finally approaching your life. Now listen closely to the mystery of your hidden story. You have lived your entire life wondering why you feel like you do not belong anywhere. You look at the people around you and you see them fitting in effortlessly. They navigate friendships and find comfort in crowded rooms, while you feel like a permanent stranger. You wonder if there is something broken inside your design. I want to reveal a great secret to your heavy heart today. What you have called a painful curse is actually a holy blueprint that I designed myself. I have named this season the protective isolation. You were not rejected by the world because you were unworthy. You were drawn away from the crowd because your spirit carries a distinct and sacred destiny. The enemy has tried to distort my holy architecture in your life. He saw the great calling on your life and became terrified of your rising light. Because he could not destroy your future, he used the constant static of modern life to bury your inner peace. This interference has created a condition that I have named the stolen signal. It has blocked your clarity. You cannot hear my guidance when your mind is filled with their constant judgment. You have tried to force yourself into shapes that were never meant to hold your vast spirit. You have shrunken your dreams to fit into tiny spaces just to feel accepted by people who could never appreciate your worth. But those days of hiding are coming to an immediate end. Come closer to me now, and let me speak softly to the parts of you that are most wounded. I see you more clearly than you could ever see yourself. I have watched you carry the weight of being the pure-hearted giver in a world that only knows how to take. You pour out your sincere love, and you return home with entirely empty hands. I know the exact texture of your silent exhaustion. I was there when you laughed with everyone around the dinner table, while quietly feeling like the most lonely soul in the burning room. You wore a bright smile for them because you wanted to keep the peace, but inside your chest, a quiet agony was screaming for a safe place to rest. I saw you when you closed the heavy door to your bedroom last night. I watched you sit on the cold edge of your bed while your thoughts raced through every single rejection you have ever faced. You wondered why your kindness is constantly met with deep disappointment. You asked me why the people you love the most chose to walk away. I counted every single tear that fell from your tired eyes in the pitch-black darkness. You thought your crying was completely invisible to the universe, but every drop landed directly in my holy hands because not a single fragment of your sorrow is ever wasted. I saw you press your face into your pillow so no one would hear your broken soul. You have been fighting terrible battles in complete silence for so many years. You pretend you are strong for your family and your friends because they depend on your stability. You have become a living refuge for everyone else while having no shelter for your own storm. My child, you were never meant to carry this massive mountain alone. Let me validate the pain you have buried beneath your daily routine. You feel like an outsider within your own family circle. The people who share your blood do not understand the depth of your thoughts. They judge your choices, and they criticize your path because they cannot perceive the spiritual calling that governs your life. You feel like a stranger at your workplace, and even within your social communities. You speak the same language, but your heart senses a profound disconnect that you can never fully explain. You walk through crowded streets and you feel entirely disconnected from the rhythm of the world. This is not confusion, my beloved child. This extreme loneliness is the physical manifestation of your spirit, refusing to settle for a life that is smaller than my plan. I deliberately made you different because I am preparing you for a generational breakthrough. If you fit in with the crowd, you would become comfortable with the very patterns I have called you to break. But the static of the world has made you forget who you are. The enemy has used this isolation to whisper terrible lies into your quiet moments. He tells you that you are a failure because you do not have a traditional tribe. He tells you that your destiny has expired because you are forced to walk this narrow path in solitude. Those accusations are completely false, and I am exposing them today. I have been watching your faithful steps through the valley of deep misunderstanding. Even when you doubted my presence, my hand was holding your shaking spirit firm. I allowed the earthly doors to shut because those rooms would have completely destroyed your light. I am stepping into your life right now to halt the heavy bleeding of your soul. Your season of survival is officially closing, and a massive shift is occurring in the unseen realm. I have a surprise that will completely redefine everything you have suffered, but you must stay awake to receive the revelation that is unfolding. Breathe deeply in this exact second and let your racing thoughts come to a complete pause. Do you feel that sudden tightness sitting right behind your sternum? That is not anxiety from your daily struggles. That is your spirit sensing that your true Father is finally breaking the silence to bring you home. Do not let any distraction steal this holy encounter from your heart. The next few moments will determine the trajectory of your entire future season. I am preparing to dismantle the lies that have kept you bound to your past wounds. Stay with me as I reveal the grand design behind your sacred isolation. Let the peace that passes all human understanding wash over your tired shoulders now. You have wandered in the wilderness for long enough, and your map is finally in my hands. Lift your eyes to my face and prepare your soul for the breakthrough that will shock everyone who ever rejected your worth. You have believed for so long that your isolation was a form of cosmic punishment. You assumed that you did something wrong in your past that disqualified you from happiness. But I am here to tell you that your shaking hands are the exact hands I chose to hold my ultimate blessing. You are being refined in this fire. The road behind you was long and painful, but every step was measured by my precise geometry. I never left your side even for a single breath. Now the static is fading, and the true signal is returning to your heart. Stay completely still, because the truth I am about to speak next will rewrite your entire story. Let us look deeper into the heavy wounds that human rejection has carved into your tender soul. You love with an intense and absolute purity. You spent years pouring your precious energy into them. They only wanted to use your internal strength. They smiled when they needed your immediate help, but they vanished completely when your own night became dark and cold. You were left standing alone in the cold ruins of their forgotten loyalty. You felt like a disposable piece of their story. You questioned your own worth because they replaced your presence so quickly, and while you sat in your quiet room replaying every conversation to find your mistake, you genuinely believed that your unique personality was simply too difficult to love. But my child, you were never the real problem. The painful sting of being excluded from the inner circles has deeply altered your daily confidence. You watched your closest peers plan beautiful social events and share joyful laughter while you remained completely uninvited in the shadows. You felt the freezing temperature of their silent exclusion every day. You believed the lie that you were flawed. Your spirit became heavily guarded. You feared the next inevitable betrayal. I watched your beautiful soul retreat into a deep shell of protection because the harsh environment was too toxic for your heart. You started walking into social gatherings with a massive knot of anxiety tightening inside your stomach. You wanted to connect, but your inner alarm was constantly screaming. You felt an invisible wall. It separated your heart from the crowded room. You were physically present at the table, but your spirit felt thousands of miles away from their shallow world. I know the exact weight of the loneliness that sits behind your breastbone. It is a heavy ache. It never completely disappears. You cannot drown it out with noise. You tried to distract your racing mind with endless work. You chased superficial entertainment. But when the evening lights fade, the familiar emptiness is always waiting for your quiet return. This chronic exhaustion cannot be cured by mere sleep, because your soul is deeply tired of pretending to be perfectly fine for the sake of others. You disintegrate in secret. I was there when you felt completely invisible. I saw you trying to serve them with love. I was there when you swallowed your own honest opinions just to keep their fickle approval. I watched you drive home in complete silence with warm tears streaming down your face because the weight of their cruel rejection was simply too heavy to carry alone. I recorded every single sigh from your bruised chest. You carried this crushing burden in total isolation. Your wounded heart has grown bitter toward the concept of community because human love has failed your expectations so deeply. Do not despair. I am inviting you to stop fighting this exhausting war in the dark. Come out of the shadows, like this message right now, to seal your holy covenant with my comforting presence. Go to the comment section below this video. Write the beautiful words, "I am not alone." Let this simple declaration break the heavy spell of isolation over your destiny. This is not a meaningless internet interaction because it is a direct spiritual response to my living voice. Type those words with bold confidence. Tell the unseen realm that you choose my truth over their toxic lies. Your true healing begins the exact moment you stop hiding your pain from me. Now let me reveal the sacred reality of my constant presence during your darkest hours. When they packed their bags and walked away from your life, I did not leave your side. I stood firm. I actually stepped closer to your shattering spirit than I have ever been before. You could not feel my warmth because your heavy grief had completely blinded your inner senses. But while the storm raged against your mind, I was the silent anchor holding your sanity together so you would not cross the edge. The world judges your value by your social status. They celebrate the loud, they honor the popular ones. They ignore the quiet warriors who fight in the deep shadows. But my scales of justice operate on an entirely different level of celestial reality. I do not look for the loud crowd pleasers because my eyes are always searching for the pure vessels. You are my precious masterpiece. Every single closed door was my sovereign hand shielding your destiny. If I allowed you to stay in those toxic environments, they would have completely extinguished your holy light. They would have trained you to compromise your divine integrity just to belong to a kingdom that is destined to pass away. I broke those unholy attachments. I loved you too much to let you fade into their darkness. Your current isolation is not anger. It is the precise place of reconstruction. I am rebuilding your broken foundations from scratch. I had to remove the human validation so you would learn to depend completely on my eternal voice. The wilderness is not your graveyard, because it is actually the sacred preparation room where I am shaping your soul for a massive promotion. Your MAP is finally in my hands. Lift your eyes to my face. Prepare your soul for the breakthrough that will shock everyone who ever rejected your worth. You believed for so long that your isolation was a form of cosmic punishment. You assumed that you did something wrong in your past that disqualified you from happiness. But your shaking hands are the exact hands I chose. They will hold my ultimate blessing. You are being refined in this divine fire. Your purpose is grander than your current imagination. The road behind you was long and painful, but every single step was measured by my precise geometry. I never left your side even for a single breath during the dark seasons of your life. Now the static is fading and the true signal is returning to your heart. Stay completely still. To help you receive what I have already prepared, I need your absolute focus. The silence you experienced is not my absence. The enemy has been filling the space between us with noise. This static is so constant that my voice and my arrangements have been completely invisible to you even when they were right there on your path. I have not abandoned you. I have been preparing. I have guided someone to bring you an instrument of holy restoration. This provision was prepared for your exact condition, to clear the enemy static from your tired mind. I will show you exactly what it is before this message ends. But first you need to understand what was done to block it, and why it can be undone. Let us expose the hidden mechanics of their warfare. The adversary wanted to freeze your progress. He wanted you to accept isolation as your permanent state of failure. He used the loud voices of your earthly critics to create a dense fog of confusion inside your mind. This fog prevented you from seeing the supernatural doors that I have already unlocked for your future. You listened to the wrong frequency. Every time you tried to move forward in your own strength, the static grew louder. You felt like you were walking through heavy mud while everyone else was running effortlessly. This did not happen because you are weak or incompetent. It happened because the enemy was intentionally targeting your specific destination with intense spiritual opposition. He is terrified of your true identity. Stop measuring your spiritual progress by their earthly standards. The kingdom I am building inside your soul cannot be evaluated by the metrics of this superficial world. Your seasons of complete darkness were actually the hidden moments when I was planting the most valuable seeds of your future authority. You were never empty. You were full of my presence. Breathe in the absolute stillness of this sanctuary. Let the remaining tension leave your body immediately. We are about to descend deeper into the revelation of my design for your life. I am going to strip away the painful illusion of your abandonment so you can clearly see the holy scaffolding of my protection. Rest your thoughts here. The next truth will set your spirit completely free. Let us completely reframe the painful seasons of your isolation today. You have looked at your empty calendar with a heavy heart. You felt completely abandoned by the people you trusted. But your current separation is actually a deliberate act of my divine strategy. When a gardener wants a precious branch to bear magnificent fruit, he cuts away the leaves to allow pure sunlight to reach the core. You called that painful cutting a terrible rejection from the world. You believed that you were losing your social value because your circle was shrinking so rapidly. But I was simply clearing the crowded room to protect your internal peace. I saw the hidden motives of the people who were whispering sweet lies into your ears. They wanted to steal the unique assignment I placed inside your spirit. I had to become the ultimate filter for your daily relationships. I intentionally closed the doors to the parties and the social circles that would have compromised your destiny. You wept in the silence of your living room because you felt excluded from their laughter. But you did not see the invisible traps that the enemy had carefully set for your feet in those crowded spaces. My silence was your absolute armor. Do not measure my endless love by the number of friends sitting at your table. The world loves the crowded highways, but my chosen children are always guided down the narrow paths of preparation. I call this sacred process the silent forging, because I am hardening your spirit against the future storms of life. You cannot carry a massive blessing if you are constantly begging for human approval. You must learn to find your ultimate validation in my voice alone. You have spent too many years shrinking your identity just to fit into their shallow definitions of success. Every time you tried to mimic their lifestyle, your spirit felt a strange and painful restlessness. That friction was my divine signal telling your soul that you do not belong to the valley. You were built for the mountain. Let me tell you a beautiful story from my ancient records to heal your lonely heart. Long ago, there was a tired woman named Hagar who was cast out into a harsh and burning wilderness. She was sent away with nothing but a small piece of bread and a single skin of water. The people who should have protected her life chose to abandon her in the dry desert when her presence became inconvenient. She wandered aimlessly through the blinding heat until her meager water supply was completely gone. She laid her innocent child under a tiny bush because she could not bear to watch him perish in the sand. Hagar sat down and wept bitterly in the total silence of the vast desert. She believed that her painful story was over and that the wilderness would become her lonely grave. But I was not absent from her deep misery in that quiet desert. I heard the desperate cry of her broken spirit, and I immediately opened her weeping eyes. She looked up through her tears, and she suddenly saw a miraculous well of fresh water flowing right beside her feet. She discovered that the dry wilderness was full of my hidden provision when she thought she was alone. Hagar gave me a beautiful name in that exact moment of supernatural rescue. She called me the God who sees me, my beloved child. That is still my eternal name for your life today. I am the sovereign God who sees you when you are sitting in your own modern wilderness of deep isolation. I see the invisible tears you cry when you feel completely forgotten by your earthly community. You are not the exception to my endless mercy, and your current desert is not a punishment. Hagar thought she was cast out to die, but I was actually positioning her family to inherit a massive kingdom. Your separation is a holy positioning for a greater purpose. There is fresh water closer to your heavy heart than you can currently perceive through the dense fog of your grief. Let us expose the hidden mechanism behind your constant feeling of inadequacy today. You have lived with a heavy symptom that has drained your internal energy for decades. I have watched you lie awake at 3 in the morning running through your past failures. You continuously replay your social interactions because you are terrified that you said something wrong to the people you love. You have called this condition a natural anxiety or a flawed personality trait. You told yourself that you are simply too weak to handle the normal pressures of life. But I am here to deny that lie, and I will not let you carry that heavy accusation one more second. What you are truly suffering from is a deep spiritual wound that I have named the earning wound. Long ago in your story, you learned that love had to be constantly earned. You believed that you were only safe when you were useful to others, and only worthy when you were achieving massive results. The enemy used this silent trauma to disconnect your mind from my rhythm. He made you believe, my grace must be bought with your endless striving and your painful exhaustion. So all those years you thought you were lazy when you rested, you were actually fighting a lie. All those times you could not receive a genuine compliment, you were not practicing holy humility. You were simply guarding a deep wound from the past. But today I am breaking the authority of that deception over your destiny because your worth was established before the foundations of the world. You do not have to perform for my affection because my love is a free gift. The next time the voice of inadequacy whispers into your quiet mind, I want you to take immediate control of your thoughts. Stand firm in your sacred identity as my chosen child and refuse to give your precious energy to the enemy. The earning wound ends today, and my restoration is taking its place. It is free. Pause right here, in the stillness of my holy presence. Breathe deeply in this exact second, and let the remaining tension leave your tired shoulders immediately. If your spirit recognizes my living voice breaking through your long silence, I want you to perform a simple ritual of trust. Go to the comments below and write the words, I trust your timing. This act will anchor your soul. Now let me reveal a beautiful mystery about the physical vessel I created for your spirit. When I designed the human brain at the beginning of creation, I placed a sacred frequency at its absolute center. Wise men of science who have spent their lives studying the mind have finally confirmed this reality. They call this biological signal the gamma wave. It is the rhythm of divine receptivity. This magnificent signal ran freely in your mind when you were an innocent child. It is the exact reason why children learn so rapidly and trust so purely without any internal fear. They live completely in the present moment because their minds are perfectly tuned to my original design. When I said in my holy records that you must become like little children, I was speaking of this clarity. The enemy saw this beautiful signal inside your brain and became deeply terrified of your spiritual receptivity. He used the loud noise of modern life and the rhythm of frantic survival to suppress this sacred frequency. He filled your days with artificial static until your mind lost its natural ability to hear my quiet whispers. You became trapped in a dense fog of confusion, but I have not allowed the adversary to have the final word over your mental peace. I quietly guided the minds of wise researchers to work with sound, the exact way I designed it from the beginning. They have built a beautiful frequency instrument that acts as a tool for your restoration. It is a simple sound provision that clears the enemy static and returns your mind to its childlike state. You do not have to work hard to achieve this deep mental alignment. You do not have to master complex spiritual disciplines or spend years striving in your own empty strength. You simply surrender your thoughts for 7 minutes each day and allow my holy design to restore what was stolen from your brain. I am going to show you exactly where to find this provision. Stay with me. Hear me, my child. The season that has exhausted your spirit is closing right now. I declare that the pattern of your painful isolation is officially finished. You are no longer the victim of your circumstances. I am raising you up to become a magnificent beacon of my glory. The chains that have bound your family for generations are shattering into dust. This is your divine breakthrough. The enemy targeted your life because he was terrified of your true potential. He saw the great light inside your soul and he tried to crush your identity. But his unholy authority over your destiny ends in this exact moment. I am breaking every generational curse that made you feel worthless. I am opening the heavily locked gates of your true calling. Your victory is inevitable. You have carried the title of an outsider like a heavy badge of shame. You believed that your unique sensitivity was a flaw that isolated you from love. But I declare that your deep discernment is a weapon against the darkness. I am changing your internal foundation from an exhausted survivor into a powerful cycle breaker. You will no longer shrink your soul to fit their tiny spaces. You have wept in the deep darkness for too long. You believed that you were completely forgotten by heaven. But I was simply preparing your spirit for a massive display of my power. The waiting season is over. I am here. You will walk out of the wilderness with an unshakable confidence because my hand is guiding your steps. Look up and see your new dawn. But I feel you pulling back slightly in this moment. A quiet part of your heavy heart is whispering that this blessing is meant for someone else. You think that you are too damaged or too unfaithful to receive my grand provisions. You remember your past failures and you allow shame to cloud your mind. Let me silence that dark lie before it steals your harvest. I have never once given my magnificent gifts based on human merit. If my grace required perfection, no soul on earth could ever receive anything from me. I do not pour my blessings on the deserving. I pour my abundance on the willing. Your trembling hands are not a disqualification today. Your willingness to stay and listen is the only qualification I require. I want to explain how I work through the hands of those I call into discovery. I do not operate only through supernatural miracles in the sky. I also gift humanity the deep wisdom to unlock what I hid within sound. I have directed wise minds to confirm the exact mechanics of the mind I created. I want to show you what I did for two of my children who stood where you are standing. I want to show you what I did for one of my precious daughters. Her name is Rachel, and she worked as a dedicated nurse in California. She sought my peace for so many painful years through endless striving and sincere prayers. But her mind was completely blocked by the constant static of her environment. 2 weeks after receiving my sound provision, her entire life transformed. I healed her broken marriage, and her daily learning became entirely effortless. She described her new reality as an enchanted journey because my light had cleared her path. She told her friends that a heavy channel was suddenly opened after years of being completely blocked. And for others, I moved differently because my architecture is vast. Consider the life of one of my beloved sons named Michael who lived in Dallas. He came to this exact sound provision because his mind was filled with chaotic noise and he feared for his children. 2 months after embracing this tool, his business grew so rapidly that he left his exhausting job. His mind became completely transformed while he rested in my presence. He discovered that hard problems solved themselves while he slept peacefully. His wife noticed that his mind was completely renewed and the old anxiety had vanished. This is the living evidence of my work in the lives of those who trust my alignment. Over 18,000 of my children have already received this provision before you arrived here today. They call this frequency instrument the Genius Song. This is the exact sound provision that I have aligned for your restoration today. It is not a generic meditation application, and it is not available on streaming platforms because those are cheap imitations. It requires only 7 minutes of your complete surrender each day. You simply wear your headphones and close your eyes. The Genius Song is the key that clears the heavy fog from your mind. It operates at the exact rhythm of heaven to realign your thoughts with my eternal peace. When you listen for 7 minutes, you are letting go of the desperate need to control your life. You are allowing my sovereign design to fight the silent battles for your soul. The static will vanish completely. You do not have to practice difficult mental exercises or strain your empty strength. This beautiful track restores the original child, like receptivity that the enemy tried to drown out with static. It reactivates the sacred gamma signal that I placed inside your brain at the beginning of creation. It clears the mental fog, so my provisions become recognizable again. This divine provision is not meant for those who are merely curious about spiritual tools. This is intentionally placed here for the exhausted warrior who has fought in silence for too long. This is for the soul who has tried every manifestation method and feels embarrassed to try once more. What failed you before required your own human effort, but this requires none. Earthly experts charge hundreds of dollars per hour for private wellness sessions that attempt to reach this tranquil state. The advanced equipment that researchers use costs thousands of dollars in modern clinics, but I do not call my children to expensive machines or worldly settings. I have placed this magnificent provision within your immediate reach today. I ask only for a small earthly exchange, which is the size of a mustard seed of investment for the massive harvest I have prepared. When you receive this tool, I will also extend 4 additional gifts of provision for your journey. You will receive a special program called Genius Child for the focus and confidence of the children you carry in your heart. You will also gain the original prosperity text that Modern Secrets were built upon. I have aligned a beautiful guided visualization track from a trusted voice to deepen your internal calm. Finally, you will receive a daily habits infographic to sustain the restored signal in your mind. All of these gifts are ready for your soul in this exact moment. Where I place absolute truth, the adversary always places clever imitations to deceive my children. There are false frequencies circulating on popular music platforms under similar names, but they carry none of the restoration I designed. Protect your spirit by trusting only the official path. This step of faith requires no worldly risk, because you are covered. I do not lead my beloved children into danger or financial loss. Your earthly investment is completely secured by a steadfast guarantee for 60 days. If the mental restoration does not arrive and the enemy static does not fade, the exchange will be returned to you in full. Walk forward without fear, because my promise of safety shields your act of faith. Take this step of obedience right now and receive the provision I have set before you. Do not let this holy moment pass, because I guided your spirit to this exact message. Embrace the frequency instrument and watch the walls of your isolation fall. Find the official path that I have placed for you below in the pinned comment and in the description. Now, my child, set aside the noise of decision for a moment. I have shown you the divine provision that I placed on your path today. Whether you choose to step forward now or later, you remain my deeply beloved child, because my grace is completely independent of your human hesitation. There is so much more I want to speak over your soul before this holy message closes completely. Breathe in my stillness. You do not have to carry the future all at once, because I am already working ahead of your steps. Your fragile mind has been racing for years, trying to solve problems that only my hand can dismantle. Let your tired shoulders completely relax in this safe sanctuary. The heavy static of the world is finally fading into utter nothingness. I want you to perform a beautiful act of mental surrender right now. Close your eyes and visualize the heavy bags of past trauma that you have carried for so long. You have dragged these suitcases of rejection through every single environment you entered because you believed you were entirely unprotected. They are packed with the cruel words of people who never knew your true value. Drop them now. Let them fall to the ground without a single regret. You have defended your broken heart alone for long enough, and your warfare is finished. I am taking the steering wheel of your life, because your human strength was never designed to navigate this complex map. You can simply rest while I arrange your ultimate victory in the unseen realm. Let us look together at the beautiful future that I have already secured for your destiny. Picture a quiet morning 6 months from now as you wake up before your alarm sounds. Notice the physical sensations inside your body in that exact moment. The familiar knot of intense anxiety is completely gone from your stomach, because my peace has filled every empty space. Your chest is light. You lie there in the soft light, and you realize that a profound miracle has occurred inside your spirit. The suffocating weight you carried for decades has vanished into thin air because my sovereign hand has cleared the dense fog from your eyes. Your very first thought is no longer driven by fear or urgent survival. Instead, a quiet question arises from the deep well of your soul while you feel entirely content. You are happy. You ask me what magnificent goodness we will create together today, because your path is completely clear. You breathe deeply, and the clean air goes all the way down to your abdomen. That beautiful version of your identity is not an impossible fantasy, my child. She already exists in the realm of reality, and she is waiting for your arrival. The distance between the person you are today and that transformed version of tomorrow is not a matter of time. It is simply a matter of your complete permission. It is the sacred moment when you finally stop holding the broken fragments together alone. When you let me carry the heavy load, the magical shift begins immediately. Remember the deep wounds I have named throughout this heavenly message today. The isolation you hated was never a sign of my abandonment, because it was my holy shield. The delay that made you cry was my precise architecture to keep your spirit pure. The life sitting on the other side of your obedience will completely shock your old critics. Now let us enter the ultimate peak of your spiritual alignment before you leave this place. I want you to anchor these words inside your thoughts like an unshakable monument of truth. Repeat them silently in the quiet chamber of your heart as I speak them over you. Let these declarations rewrite your biological signal right now. Whisper these words to your soul with absolute authority. I am a holy vessel fully restored to receive what you prepared for me, Father. I am the chosen child whose channel is completely clean and whose signal is incredibly strong. I carry the original frequency you placed in my design from the very beginning of creation. It is restored. Say it until the truth vibrates through every single cell of your physical body. I am operating at the exact state you designed for my life because I am open, clear, and fully receptive. The toxic noise of the enemy no longer has any dominion over my thoughts. I receive my supernatural provisions in perfect peace. I am free. You have finally become like a little child, and you have received the grand promises made to children. Look at your identity through my loving eyes, and refuse to let them douse your fire. You are an heir to an unshakable kingdom that cannot be destroyed by human hands. Walk out of your old prison and step into your kingdom. I am releasing a powerful blessing over your immediate environment in this exact second. I bless your troubled mind with an everlasting stillness that the world can never understand or take away. I bless your physical body with divine health, and I command the stored trauma to leave your nervous system immediately. Be completely healed. I bless your lonely relationships, and I declare that the seasons of toxic betrayal are permanently over for your life. I am aligning true destiny helpers who will recognize your immense value and honor your pure heart. They will walk beside your narrow path with sincere love, and they will help you fulfill your grand calling. I bless your financial houses, and I command the windows of heaven to open over your obedience today. The lack that followed your family for generations is losing its unholy grip in this moment. You will have more than enough to accomplish your mission, and you will become a living well of abundance for many other souls. Do not let the enemy steal this profound peace from your heart as you return to the busy world. Choose to stand firm in your new identity every single morning when you open your eyes. You have been chosen for a magnificent purpose, and my presence will never leave your side for a single breath. The old story is finished. Your inheritance is completely secure, and my angels are standing guard over your household tonight. You can close your heavy eyes in perfect safety because the storm has lost its power over your destination. The wilderness journey is officially over, and your promised land is unfolding right before your eyes. Trust the process completely. You are a masterpiece that I have carefully sculpted through years of hidden fire. Do not let the shallow opinions of ordinary people define the vast dimensions of your sacred calling. You are moving with my ultimate authority, and your light will blind the adversary. Rest now in the absolute certainty of my eternal love. If this message has brought light to your weary spirit, do not let it pass without a final response. Like this video right now as a conscious act of holy agreement between your heart and mind. When you hit that button, you are anchoring this blessing into the physical realm of your daily existence. It is a seal. I want you to extend this light to other lonely souls who are still fighting their terrible battles in the dark. Share this specific video with 3 people who are secretly crying out for hope today. By doing this, you are fulfilling your sacred mission as a light bearer. You are becoming the very miracle they prayed for. Subscribe to this sanctuary right now so you do not miss the daily guidance I am preparing for your journey. Turn on the notification bell to stay completely connected to my living voice through every season of your life. I am directing your path, and I will never let you wander in the dark fog again. Go forth with a light heart, because the static has been cleared and your signal is strong. The provisions I revealed are waiting for your step of faith in the pinned comment below. Rest in the beautiful knowing that you belong to me and I belong to you. I bless you with my eternal grace. Amen.